Hello and welcome, plant friends and family. Welcome to Fruits of My Desires LLC. I am Desiree, and today I'm going to be talking to you about one of my favorite herb plants, which is holy basil. Now, holy basil is known as Tulsi in the Indian culture, which is where it is native to. It has a very rich aroma that reminds me of a tropical punch, even like a strawberry now later, like that rich tropical flavor you get from eating one of those. That's what this plant smells like at all times. And having it in my garden was such a joy and a pleasure. And we also were growing it on the farm because whenever the wind would blow, you would just get this heavy aroma of a tropical euphoria, and it was just absolutely beautiful. So I wanted to go ahead and give you, some education about the plant, and why I chose to include it in my garden. Okay, so I'll start off with that first. Tulsi is known as the queen of teas. Okay, it is the elixir of life in the Indian culture. It's so widely loved in their culture that everything about this plant, from the soil you plant it in to the pot you plant it in and the place you put it in your yard, is sacred. Okay, and the reason why is because basil, period, is a herb that heals many things. Well, this one does more than an actual basil plant. So I'm going to first start off by telling you what it's full of. Okay, so this plant is full of iron, zinc, vitamins A and C, and it's heavy on the chlorophyll as well. As you can tell from a plant I have here propagating right now that I need to go ahead and transplant. It has a very rich green texture, and just moving it around, that aroma is hitting me. So it takes a lot to just not pick a leaf off and eat it, but yeah, we're not going to do that right now. um, I'll let you know what I do with this plant. So when I first got this plant, I didn't grow it from seed. I got it from someone I know who grows it from seed, and I propagated it and just kept like propagating it, which is what's going on right now. So after it leaves this phase, what I'm going to have to do now is pry the roots off of here, because as you can see, I got a serious root ball going on. But go ahead, pry them apart, put them in some rich soil, and it'll go ahead and flourish into its own plant. And you want to make sure the soil is very nutrient rich. I use my own compost. I water this plant when it's not in this state at least twice a week, because it does kind of like, a more moist environment, just like basil would. And it helps to keep it from flowering so quickly. If your soil gets too hot with any basil or any plant in that family, it's going to start to, grow flowers, and those flowers will then turn to seed, and then you will kind of lose the nutrient properties in your plant, and you don't want to do that. I grew these plants in pots this year. Next year, I intend to grow them in ground. I'm going to, create large raised bed spaces, but they're going to be in ground. And I feel like it'll have more space, and I could kind of use it as a cover crop for other things that I want to grow, because it's an excellent pest repellent as well. And the deers and the rabbits and the squirrels and whatnot, they don't seem to like it either. So the insects don't bother it, and the small critters don't bother it. I'm also going to grow this plant in a more shady area, not completely shady, but I wanted to have kind of like a healthy balance, because too much sun will dry out your soil. And I did notice I was racing against cutting off all of the flowers on the plant. So yeah, I'm going to have to do a little better. I don't know why I did that, considering the fact I grew my actual basil in a more shady spot. But for some strange reason, I put this in the sun, and I was on a race against time. You can find this plant in various different forms. So number one is tea. And if you are interested in purchasing my teas, you can find the holy basil, Tulsi tea on www.fruitsofmydesires.com. And this is 8 grams of tea. I do also have infusers on my website, so you could go ahead and, once you get it all mashed up, put it in your infuser, put it in your water, and all that great stuff. Once the plant is done, once I harvest the plant, I then go about the drying process. And then once the plant is completely dry, it looks a little similar to this. This one's kind of like munched up a little bit. Go ahead and unravel it. Ooh. But it's so dry, it's falling apart. But what you want to do is just pick those leaves off. Go ahead and get the rest of those off and take these off too. And go ahead and put your leaves in your mortar and pestle. And then you want to crush them up so you can activate the essential oils in this plant and get all of the great benefits that I am going to tell you about while this is steeping. Now, I have my hot water over here in my tea kettle, and I want to make sure I get this in here before the water cools down. So go ahead and mash this up a bit. And tea form is one of the best ways to get the medicinal benefits of this plant, but you can also find it in extracts, tinctures. Extracts would be like, vanilla extract, what have you not. You could do the same thing, drop a couple of drops in some water and still get the same benefits. Tinctures as well, which are more made with alcohol. Go ahead, drop that, under your gum line right here, or in your hot water for tea if you want. You can find these in essential oils. So if you just want kind of like the anxiety relief properties, because just sitting here smelling this is calming me down. So if you want the essential oils, you can go ahead and put it in a diffuser, and that'll help you as well. But today we're making tea, so go ahead and put my, make sure it doesn't roll. The one thing I do not like about the ceramic ones is that they're so heavy that they roll all over the place. And it's not a lot, it's enough in there for 1 cup. Shake out the little excess. Again, it doesn't matter. You can have that floating around in your water and you'll be just fine. Go ahead and drop this in the tea kettle just so you can see it. And today's cup will be my favorite. It's no ducks given. And if you want to, change that D to something else, that's exactly what that is. And on the inside, it's a cute little ducky. Look at that. But, okay. Let's get started with the benefits of this plant. Okay, so you can find holy basil in a number of soups and stews. The Asian community, which everybody knows Indians are Asian, they like to use it in their soups. And that's also one way to get the medicinal benefits. But you can also make the tea, as we stated, the tinctures and the essential oils, as well as the extracts. So as far as the medicinal benefits of this plant, it is known to cure a variety of things. So first I'm going to start off with the skin, okay? It helps to soothe acne. Now, one thing that I have become, kind of like repetitive with when it comes to my teas is drinking more teas within that peppermint family, the basil family, and what have you not, because it does really help with the skin. And as you can see, I don't really suffer from blemishes. I don't really have acne. I love this plant for that. It also helps with things like poison oak. While I was out in my garden, like tearing down trees and, clearing ways or paths so I could plant, I did come across a poison oak patch. And it hit me on my hands pretty good. I'm going to show you right here. It's healing now, but if you see that blemish right there, that was poison oak. So what you want to do is take a piece of the leaf off and kind of like break it up and then put it on your skin, and it'll help soothe that itching, okay? It also helps with ringworm. So same thing, get you a little leaf off, go ahead and, rub it on you, and it'll help with that itching. It also helps with your teeth, your gums, and your breath. So remember, holy basil is a basil plant. And just like basil, you could take off a piece of this leaf and chew it, and that'll help give you fresh breath. That'll also help with your gums. It helps to, with infections and things like that. So if you want to put a piece in there, if you got kind of like, a little toothache or what have you not, to help keep down the infection until you're able to see your dentist, go ahead and chew on one of these leaves. It also, let's see, it's a contraceptive. I don't think a lot of people know when it comes to basil. If you're trying to conceive, especially the fellas, please stay away from this plant because it does reduce your sperm count. So if you're trying to, have a baby with your wife or what have you not, and you're noticing that you're coming up short, it could be because you have too much of this plant and the plants within this family within your blood, okay? And it is blocking you from becoming a parent. So watch out for that. This plant, also helps with plaque and tartar. I forgot that part. I got some notes over here because like I said, this plant does everything and I didn't want to forget anything at all. So moving on, it helps with stress, anxiety. It relieves respiratory discomfort from things like colds, asthma, and bronchitis, and when it comes to people who have quit smoking. So how does that happen? It acts as an expirant. So if you have a cold, if your asthma is flaring up, you got bronchitis, you just recently quit smoking, it helps to expel the mucus in your lungs. So it's actually helping to heal your lungs in the process. So a lot of asthma sufferers drink this, especially around this time of year or whenever you get those air quality alerts in your system, because, not in your system, but in your city, because it does help to, suppress the system. So you won't be breathing as hard or possibly have an asthma attack. If you do have bronchitis, it helps to soothe that as well. It also suppresses dry cough, which is why it's good for former smokers. As you know, once you quit smoking, your lungs are trying to heal themselves. So you may find yourself, a little dry at times and you may cough or what have you not. If that's the case, get into this Tulsi tea. It'll help with that, help suppress it so it won't be so bad, especially if you're sleeping or, just in a dry environment. It also, as we were talking about, the skin and applying it as a topical, you can also use this for poison ivy. I said poison oak, but I forgot poison ivy. So keep that on the list as well. This plant is also good for increasing the metabolic process and helps to regulate your blood sugar levels. So a lot of diabetics go to this plant. Now, the one thing I didn't say in the beginning, which is what I'm going to tell you this now, please do not use herbs as a way to heal yourself from ailments. You're going to have to seek the help of your doctor before you do any herbal remedy, okay? Because herbs are there to help control what you've already worked on, okay? So if you're at a point where you need meds, please take your meds and then discuss with your doctor, weaning yourself off of the meds or including something like this so you can wean yourself off. Please do not stop taking your meds and thinking that herbs are going to help you in the process, because you may actually make it worse. So last but not least, because I think we are almost done with the brewing of the tea, it is an anti-inflammatory, and it does that by lowering the acid in your stomach and relieving joint pain. Whenever I have a headache of some sort, I suffer from sinus allergies, so this helps with that as well. Pounding of my head, you know, the dryness, especially around this time of year with my sinuses. This is a go-to plant for me. Not only, like I said, does it smell good, but it really literally heals the entire body. So I'm going to go ahead and put this off to the side because I think that I've done enough explaining. If you have any questions, please drop them in the comment sections and I will be able to give you more information. So it has been 5 to 6 minutes, which is all you need to steep this lovely tea. And let's go ahead and pour it in my mug, which does not have any sweetener in it, and neither does my tea kettle. And I kind of wish I had done this in a clear mug so you can see it. But what I'm going to do is just put the cup down so you can get a glimpse of what's inside of here. You see that? The duck just to flow in. And as you can see, the small particles are in the bottom. It's not going to harm you. It's actually going to help you to get those small particles in your system. So, salute. Oh yes. Oh yes. Not only does it smell good, but you can taste it in here too. And I'm trying to tell you, if you had a little honey added to it, you would get that tropical punch taste. Come on, y'all, get into this tea. www.fruitsofmydesires.com, and they are going fast. Y'all be good now. Hey.